Just a little helpful hint when it comes to applying a Danish oil to get as good a finish as possible. Now, you see here, you see how it's like patchy and not shiny? That's the absorption of the wood. Now, the first coat of the oil is thinned down with white spirit. And so what we want to do on the first coat is we want to get as much penetration as possible. So we go as deep into the wood as possible so it creates a longer lasting finish. So once we've gone over it, we then give it a few minutes and wait till it's all soaked in, and then just saturate it again. So keep going over it, and then as soon as you've done a fair few coats on it, what you've done is essentially built up the depth of the oil into the wood, and then once that settles for about 10 to 15 minutes, then you can wipe everything off with a nice clean cloth, and then that will be your first coat done. And then because you've saturated it and gone over it multiple times, then you don't need to thin down your second coat, then you just need to apply a few more coats of the pure oil without thinning, and then you'll get a very, very nice finish with it. So yeah, we'll just give that a moment to settle and wipe it down. So you see again, after I've let it settle for a couple of minutes, all this here has lost its sheen, which means everything's been pulled below the surface. So especially when doing spalted wood, because spalting is a fungus that sort of eats away at the wood, which makes it softer and more porous and spongy. So it will have more absorption than a standard piece of wood. So it's just something to bear in mind with spalting. You're going to have to do a little bit more. And once it's glossed over, we'll just do a bit more on there and just keep going until it stays glossy, and then we can polish it off. Go over it and just wipe all the excess off and just spread it around a little bit more. Just keep going over it, getting all the bits where it's super thick. We want to try and get it thin so it dries nice and efficiently. So that's the most important part of applying your finish, is making sure that the first coat is applied correctly. And that gives you a really good base to then build up from. So all the subsequent layers afterwards will just be pure Danish oil, and then same thing, you just apply it on, let it sit for about 5-10 minutes or so, and then wipe it all off with a clean rag. Making sure to check in between coats with your fingertips just to make sure everything's nice and smooth. And the last final coat that you apply, use a scouring pad because it's a mild abrasive and it gives you just a beautiful glossy finish every single time.